Hey physics kids, this is Mr. Galoya coming at you. Hey, we got our next circuit to build on tinkercad. This will be our lab number 3. We're going to hopefully make dueling flashing or two flashing LEDs. It's going to kind of be something similar. Well, it's going to simulate like these lights flashing back and forth on a small scale. Okay, on a small scale. So I've got a copy here. I'll get you this link, but I've got a copy here of the schematic, and let me just scroll on down here and I'll kind of show you that. Let's see if I can. Oops. There's a schematic we're going to use. Again, we're going to build it on tinkercad. We'll be using a 555 timer chip, some different resistors, 3 batteries, a couple of LEDs. Now, these dark circles represent what are called nodes, and these represent electrical connected sorts of wires. I'll kind of show you what I mean by that when I get into tinkercad. So let me kind of move this website here, this link, off to my other monitor, and let me open up another window here in Chrome. Let me bring it over here. Looks like it'll work out pretty nicely. Let me get into tinkercad. Okay, let me sign in. I'm going to join in as a student. So 33LF TAQL 1CN1. We'll go to my class. My nickname, Alan Galoya. Student 4808. That's me. Okay, I want to go to circuits again and create a new circuit. I'm going to call this Lab 3 Dual Flashing LEDs. Alright, so let's start off with our breadboard. Don't need a real big one, we can just use a small one there. Let's kind of put it here in the middle, or put it right here. Let's get some batteries. It looks like from my schematic, I need 3, so let me go in and do 3 batteries. Let me go ahead and rotate this a little bit here. So to rotate again, you want to just kind of activate that component and then just hit your R button. And I'm going to electrify again the top and the bottom areas. This is my negative terminal, my battery, so I'm going to wire here. And then I'm going to attach a wire to this top negative. I'll put this on my positive, and then I'll attach a wire going down. The benefit of this then is we have both areas. We can use these rails on both the top and the bottom part of my breadboard. Oh, what do we need now? Well, let's just get our 555. Again, I'm just looking off my schematic. Okay, so let's put that in here, maybe kind of in the middle there. Now remember, a 555 timing chip has 8 pins. We start numbering 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That little circle there, that's the left, so that allows me to know my numbering system of my chip. Looks like we've got a wire from pin 1 to ground. Looks like I've got a wire from 2 to 6. Okay, I'm just kind of looking at my schematic here. You guys can, I mean, there's different ways of doing this. I want to take a wire from pin 3 and I want to put it over here and use this for my LEDs, this area. So let me take a wire here and just kind of move it there. Okay, we need a couple of 200 ohm resistors, so I'm kind of on my schematic now. I'm kind of right around this area here. So let me get a resistor here. Okay, and we want this will be what I'm going to call R3. And it's got a resistance of 200 ohms. Make sure you change the kilo ohms to ohms. Now we need 2 of these, so I'm just going to hit Control C and then Control V, and that'll give me 2 of them. So this one I labeled R3, this one let me label R4. Okay, let me kind of think about doing this here. We know this is going to be a node here, this line, so let me rotate one of these. And let's kind of put it here. And kind of rotate this one. Now I'm gonna attach a wire here, and that way I can electrify there we go. Let me actually do that over again. Okay. Oops, what happened there? Okay, everything looks pretty good here. So I've got my R4. So let me just label that R4. And this is R3. Okay, let me bring in the LEDs. So we're going to need 2 of these. Okay, the bottom one is D1. So let me call that D1. Now I've got them both red, that's fine. You can change the color if you want. the top one we're going to have D2. Now again, we have the LEDs are polarized, so we've got the cathode, that's the minus, the anode's the plus. Okay, so the bottom one, we want something kind of like this. I'll just kind of put it. I'll put it kind of right there. Oops. Okay, so there's the anode, the positive. And then I need a wire going from the cathode to the negative terminal. Okay. That should take care of that one, I think. And this one again would be D1. And we can kind of move that down here. And then the top one will be D2. And let me go ahead and put that in. So on the top one, the cathode will be at that node. Let's see. I'm sorry, at the resistor. So I'm going to have my cathode see what's the best way of doing it here to give myself enough room. I'll just do maybe something like that. Although, you know, I guess I could rotate it maybe. Let me see if I can rotate this. And we want our cathode I just want to make sure you can see okay. So that cathode's going to be in this area here in that line. Maybe I ought to just put it up. Oh yeah. Maybe I'll just put it there, and then I'll run a wire here. That way this is electrically connected with the cathode, and then the anode will go to the hot rail up top. Okay, so it looks like on my schematic, I'm kind of done with this left side, really. I've got 1 to ground, 2 is connected to 6, 3 is got all this stuff. I need 4 going to power, or to the top, or to the power rail. So let me, the hot rail, I guess you could say. So there's 4. Okay. Now let's kind of focus in on the right side here of the 555. So it looks like 8 can go to the hot rail. Let me move this down here. Oops. Okay. Okay, what do we got going on? So 7, let's take 7. Here's our 7, and let's take a wire and let's just put things maybe over here. We have a little bit of room to work. Okay, so I'm taking a wire from 7, pin 7, just over here where I can work a bit. And it looks like then we need what I'll put in R1. There's R1. I need a 1000 ohm resistor. So let me grab another resistor. There it is. And this will be called R1. And that's going to be, let me click on it, and that's 1000 ohms. So I want to change that to ohms, or I could have just made it 1 kilo ohm. And let me kind of rotate it too. Oh boy, hold on, buddy. Okay, so I've got it electrically connected here, and then the other link to that resistor is going to go to the hot rail. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, this other, so this was a node here, so I want to connect a wire down here so I'll have a little bit of room to work. Okay, so this is all now going to be electrically connected. And so I need R2, which is a 47 ohm. No, 47 kilo ohm. So this will be called R2. And this is 47 kilo ohm. Now before I get all wild here, let me just kind of move this over here so I can identify that. And this will be R2. R2. And let me do the same thing. Let me kind of rotate it around. And then just kind of attach it kind of like this. Then I need, let me move this little thing down here. Okay, then I want a capacitor. So let me show you where I am now. I want a capacitor, a 10 microfarad capacitor. So let me get a capacitor. Hey, sorry kids, I had a little hiccup there in that video. Something kind of happened. I'm not sure what. I think I might be kind of running out of computer hard drive. But I said we were now needing a 10 microfarad capacitor. So let's kind of get a capacitor going here. So, don't want to move that around, do we? So there's my capacitor. And let's see, let's put in, it's a 10 microfarad, and this will be C1. And let me kind of move all this stuff up here. Way I'll I'll have a little bit of room to work. So let me rotate the capacitor around, put it kind of down here, give it a little label here. This will C1. Oops. C1. Now again, this is electrolytic capacitor, so it's got a negative and a positive, the anode and cathode. The cathode's going to go to negative ground, so I want to wire from negative ground here. And then the positive's going to go on the other side of the 47. So this was our R2, 47 kilo ohm. So I want the wire from the positive then to, let me move that label a little bit here. So I want to wire from the positive to this terminal here, that area, and that's going to be electrically connected here. And it looks like, if I look at my schematic here, we've got this taken care of. We've got the batteries, the two resistors. I'll check all that shortly. It looks like I had a wire from 2 to 6, but it looks like I also need a wire from 2 or 6 to the right before that, or right linked up with that positive terminal of that capacitor, or at the back side of that R2. Let me move all this around here. So we want, I'm just going to put a wire from 2 to that back side of that resistor, or right before that, right before the positive terminal of the capacitor. Now let me check all my resistors. Let me check my capacitor, 10 microfarads, and this is R2, 47 kilo ohms. This is 1,000 ohms, or 1 kilo ohm. This is R3, that should be 200 ohms, 200 ohms. And then R4 should be 200 ohms. Make sure you check all these, kids. So I should have a wire from 1 to negative, from 4 to positive, from 8 to positive, 7 to here. That looks pretty good. And I've got my diode, my LEDs put in correctly, I believe. Okay, let me go ahead and start the simulation, and hopefully, let me see, did I change those LEDs? Let me just change them to red. We can change them again if we want. There we go. So let's start the simulation. Oh, there's my flash right there, my flashing. Let me turn off the lights too. Might be able to see things better. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Now, if you want to, you could change these to maybe another color. Yellow maybe, or blue. Maybe change them both to blue. That looks pretty cool. Did you get yours to work, kids? Hopefully so. Now I got one more change here that I was going to tell you about. Let's say we replace the 10 microfarad capacitor with a 1 farad capacitor. So let me go change, let me stop the sim, change this to a 1 farad, start it. Oops. Oh yeah, there it goes. It's flashing pretty fast. Can you see it flashing pretty fast? So if we make the capacitance larger, we're getting a faster flash rate. Let me stop it. Let's maybe make it a little larger. So we had a 10. Now let's put it Oh, no, I've got that backwards. If we make the capacitance smaller, so we went from 10 to 1, we made the capacitor smaller, and we increased our flash rate. And now let's make it larger, so I've got 100. And let's see if we get, yeah, it looks like we've got a real long flash rate in terms of duration. Now, one last thing, kids, I want you guys to do is, click here. When you're done, click here. And it's got my name and got the circuit. So I'm going to do a screenshot here. And I'm going to snip here. It's got my name here and then got this circuit I just built, lab 3. And I can put that into the checkpoint. All right, sounds pretty good. Hopefully you got things built and you enjoyed that. We'll talk to you later, kids.